The sleek, silver shuttle glided through the star-studded expanse, its destination looming ever closer, the Galactic Academy, a sprawling complex of crystalline spires and bio-organic domes nestled on an asteroid in the Andromeda Galaxy. Inside the shuttle, Zhou Chen, a 19-year-old human girl from Earth, pressed her face against the viewport, her dark eyes wide with wonder and trepidation. As the first human ever admitted to the prestigious institution, Zhou felt the weight of her species' future resting squarely on her shoulders. The Galactic Council had only recently acknowledged humanity's potential for joining the interstellar community, and her acceptance into the Academy was both a test and an opportunity. The shuttle docked with a gentle thud, and Zhou took a deep breath, smoothing down her regulation uniform, a shimmering, adaptive fabric that seemed to ripple with every movement. She stepped out into the cavernous hangar, her small suitcase hovering obediently behind her. The reception committee waiting for her was a sight to behold. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors stood in a semicircle, their expressions, on those who had discernible faces, ranging from curiosity to skepticism to outright hostility. At the center stood Rector Zilith, a tall, willowy creature with iridescent skin and 4 arms. Its voice, when it spoke, seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Welcome, Zhou Chen of Earth, to the Galactic Academy. We trust your journey was satisfactory." Zhou swallowed hard and nodded, forcing a smile. "Yes, thank you, Rector Zilith. I'm honored to be here." A ripple of whispers and clicks spread through the assembled aliens. Zhou caught fragments of translated speech in her neural implant. "So small, primitive species. Waste of resources." Rector Zilith raised 2 of its arms, silencing the murmurs. "You will be assigned a guide to help you acclimate to life at the Academy. Xandor, please step forward." A stocky, reptilian being with scales that shifted color like an oil slick moved to stand beside Zhou. Its vertical pupils contracted as it regarded her. "Greetings, human. I am Xandor, third-year student of Xenobiology and Comparative Physiology." Zhou inclined her head, remembering her cultural sensitivity training. "Hello, Xandor. I look forward to learning from you." As the reception committee dispersed, Xandor led Zhou through winding corridors that seemed to defy Euclidean geometry. Holographic displays flickered to life as they passed, showing everything from complex mathematical equations to real-time stellar cartography. "Your living quarters are in the diversity wing," Xandor explained, its universal translator converting its sibilant speech into crisp English. "You'll be sharing communal spaces with other carbon-based life forms." They arrived at a door that writhed open at their approach. The room beyond was small but comfortable, with a bed that looked more like a hammock made of light and a desk that seemed to grow out of the floor. "Classes begin tomorrow," Xandor said. "Your schedule has been uploaded to your neural implant. Do you require sustenance or rest?" Zhou shook her head, still trying to process everything she'd seen. "I'm fine, thank you. I think I just need some time to settle in." Xandor nodded, its scales rippling from green to blue. "Very well. Should you require assistance, simply vocalize your need, and the room's AI will alert me." With that, it left, the door closing silently behind it. Alone at last, Zhou sank onto the light hammock, surprised to find it solid and comfortable. She let out a long, shaky breath, the reality of her situation finally sinking in. She was light years from home, surrounded by beings she'd only ever dreamed of meeting, about to embark on an educational journey that would push her to her limits. As she unpacked her few belongings, Zhou's hand brushed against a small, leather-bound book, a real, paper book, a rarity in this age of digital information. It was a gift from her grandfather, a collection of human achievements throughout history. She clutched it to her chest, drawing strength from the connection to her home and her species' legacy. A soft chime from her neural implant alerted her to an incoming message. It was from Dr. Elara Voss, her mentor back on Earth. "Zhou, by now you've arrived at the Academy. Remember why you're there, not just to learn, but to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. You carry the hopes and dreams of our entire species with you. Make us proud, but more importantly, stay true to yourself. The road ahead won't be easy, but I believe in you. Good luck, and don't forget to send updates." Zoe smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. She may be just one human girl in a vast, alien academy, but she was determined to make a difference. As she settled in for her first night in her new home among the stars, Zoe Chen had no idea of the profound impact her presence would have on the Galactic Academy and the future of interstellar relations. Tomorrow, her real journey would begin. Zoe's first day at the Galactic Academy began with a cacophony of alien sounds filtering through her room's adaptive walls. She'd barely slept, her mind racing with equal parts excitement and anxiety. As she prepared for her first class, theoretical xenophysics, she couldn't help but wonder if she was in over her head. The lecture hall was a marvel of alien architecture, with tiered seating that seemed to float in mid-air and a central podium that pulsed with bioluminescent energy. Zoe found a seat near the back, acutely aware of the curious and sometimes hostile stares from her classmates. Professor Quixlar, a being composed entirely of shimmering plasma contained within a force field, materialized at the podium. "Today," it announced, its voice resonating directly in the students' minds, "we will discuss the fundamental principles of transdimensional energy conversion." As the lecture progressed, Zoe found herself struggling to keep up. The concepts were so far beyond her earthly education that she felt like a caveman trying to understand quantum mechanics. But then something clicked. A formula appeared on the holographic display that reminded her of something she'd studied back on Earth: the principles of thermodynamics. Hesitantly, Zoe raised her hand. The entire class fell silent, all eyes, all sensory organs, turning to her. Professor Quixlar's plasma form flickered, a sign of surprise. "Yes, human Zoe Chen." "Excuse me, Professor," Zoe began, her voice steadier than she felt. "But doesn't this formula bear a striking resemblance to the laws of thermodynamics? If we apply the principle of entropy to transdimensional energy conversion, couldn't we potentially increase efficiency by—" She went on to explain her theory, drawing parallels between human physics and the alien concepts being discussed. As she spoke, the initial skepticism in the room gave way to genuine interest. Even Professor Quixlar's plasma form pulsed with excitement. "Fascinating perspective, human Zoe Chen," the professor said when she finished. "Your species' understanding of physics, while primitive, offers an intriguing analog to our more advanced principles. Class, let us explore this connection further." The rest of the lecture was a whirlwind of discussion, with Zoe's human viewpoints sparking new avenues of thought. As they left the hall, Zoe found herself surrounded by curious classmates, their initial wariness replaced by eager questions about human science and culture. One student, a collective consciousness housed in a crystalline structure named HFY, hovered close to Zoe. "Your mind works in strange ways, human Zoe Chen," it chimed, its facets glittering. "We would be interested in further exchanges of knowledge." Zoe grinned, feeling a warmth of acceptance for the first time since her arrival. "I'd like that, HFY. Maybe we could start a study group." The idea spread quickly, and by the end of the day, Zoe had organized a diverse group of alien students eager to explore the intersection of human and galactic knowledge. It was a small step, but a significant one in bridging the gap between Earth and the wider cosmic community. However, not everyone was thrilled with Zoe's growing influence. As she made her way to the Academy's central atrium, she overheard a heated discussion between Rector Zar'thak and another faculty member. "Cannot allow a primitive species to disrupt our centuries-old curriculum," the unknown voice hissed. "This human's presence is already causing ripples of chaos." Rector Zar'thak's response was measured but firm. "Change is not always comfortable, Professor Zar'thak, but it is often necessary. The human's unique perspective may offer insights we have long overlooked." Zoe quickened her pace, her heart pounding. She hadn't intended to challenge the status quo, but it seemed her very presence was doing just that. That evening, as Zoe prepared for her comparative xenobiology lab, she received an unexpected visitor. Xandor, her assigned guide, entered her room, its scales a turbulent mix of colors reflecting its agitation. "Human Zoe Chen," it began, its voice low and urgent, "I must warn you. Your actions today have not gone unnoticed. There are those among the faculty and student body who view your species as a threat to galactic order." Zoe felt a chill run down her spine. "A threat? But I'm just here to learn, to represent Earth." Xandor's scales settled into a deep blue. "Perhaps, but your ideas, your way of thinking, they challenge long-held beliefs. Be cautious, human. Not all change is welcomed, even in a place of learning." As Xandor left, Zoe sank onto her light hammock, her mind whirling. She'd come to the Galactic Academy to learn, but it seemed she was becoming a teacher in her own right. The question was, were the denizens of this vast, alien institution ready for the lessons humanity had to offer? With a deep breath, Zoe stood, squaring her shoulders. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was determined to face them. For herself, for Earth, and for the future of human-alien relations, she would persist. The cultural shockwaves of her arrival were only the beginning. Weeks passed, and Zoe found herself settling into a routine at the Galactic Academy. Her study group had grown, attracting students from diverse species and disciplines. Even some of the more open-minded faculty members had begun to take notice, occasionally sitting in on their discussions. However, the undercurrent of tension remained. Professor Zar'thak, a gelatinous entity with multiple eye stalks, seemed to take personal offense at Zoe's presence. In advanced quantum mechanics, he never missed an opportunity to highlight the primitive nature of human science. One particularly grueling day, as Zoe left Zar'thak's class feeling deflated, she bumped into Ixthora in the corridor. "Your biorhythms indicate distress, friend Zoe," the crystalline being chimed. "Perhaps a visit to the Celestial Observatory would elevate your mood." Zoe managed a smile. "Thanks, Ix. That sounds perfect." The Celestial Observatory was Zoe's favorite place in the Academy. A massive dome that seemed to exist partially in another dimension, it offered unparalleled views of the cosmos. As they entered, Zoe gasped. The usual star-speckled vista had been replaced by a swirling maelstrom of colors. "What's happening?" she asked, all momentarily displacing her worries. Ix, though Rose's facets flickered with excitement. "We are witnessing a rare phenomenon, the birth of a new galaxy in a neighboring dimension. Truly fortunate timing." As they watched the cosmic spectacle unfold, a shrill alarm suddenly pierced the air. The beautiful view flickered and distorted, replaced by an ominous warning message in multiple alien languages. "Critical system failure detected. Dimensional stabilizers offline. Collapse imminent." Panic erupted in the observatory. Students of various species rushed towards the exits, some flying, others oozing or teleporting. Zoe felt Ixthora vibrating with fear beside her. "The dimensional viewing apparatus," it explained hurriedly. "If it fails completely, it could tear a hole in the fabric of space-time. The entire Academy could be sucked into the interdimensional void." Zoe's mind raced. The Academy's safety systems should be handling this, but something was clearly wrong. Without thinking, she sprinted towards the control panel at the base of the dome. "So, no," Ixthora called after her. "Only authorized personnel can access those systems." But Zoe was already there, her hands flying over the alien interface. Thanks to her neural implant, she could read the warnings and system diagnostics flashing across the screen. The dimensional stabilizers were failing due to an unexpected surge from the galactic birth they'd been observing. Drawing on everything she'd learned in her classes and study groups, Zoe began rerouting power, trying to stabilize the system. She thought back to her thermodynamics-inspired solution in Quicksla's class. If she could apply a similar principle here. "Move aside, human." Professor Zar'thak had arrived, his gelatinous form quivering with rage and fear. "Your meddling will doom us all." but Zoe stood her ground. "Professor, please, I think I can fix this, but I need your help. The power surge is causing quantum fluctuations in the stabilizer matrix. If we can create a feedback loop using the observatory's own interdimensional field." For a moment, Zar'thak hesitated, his eye stalks swiveling between Zoe and the increasingly unstable dimensional viewer. Then, with a sound like a deflating balloon, he moved to another control panel. "Your theory is sound," he admitted grudgingly. "I will modulate the field harmonics. You focus on stabilizing the power grid." For the next few minutes, human and alien worked in frantic tandem. Zoe's fingers flew across the controls, her mind working faster than she'd ever thought possible. Zar'thak's multiple limbs operated several interfaces at once, his vast knowledge of interdimensional physics complementing Zoe's innovative approach. With a final surge of power and a bone-shaking rumble, the dimensional viewer stabilized. The alarms fell silent, and the swirling maelstrom of the newborn galaxy reappeared, now safely contained behind reinforced interdimensional barriers. A cheer went up from the gathered students and faculty who had watched the drama unfold. Zoe sagged against the control panel, exhausted but elated. She felt a gentle tap on her shoulder and looked up to see Rector Zilith standing over her. "It seems," the rector said, its voice resonating with a mix of relief and admiration, "that we owe you a debt of gratitude, Zoe Chen of Earth. Your quick thinking and unconventional approach may well have saved the entire academy." Zoe blushed, suddenly aware of all the attention. "I couldn't have done it without Professor Zar'thak's help," she said, glancing at the gelatinous alien. Zar'thak's eye stalks swiveled towards her, his usual hostility replaced by something that might have been respect. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "there is more to human science than I had previously believed." As the excitement died down and cleanup efforts began, Zoe found herself surrounded by her fellow students, all eager to understand how she had solved the crisis. Even those who had been skeptical of her before now looked at her with new eyes. Ixthorare vibrated with pride next to her. "You have done more than save the academy, friend Zoe," it chimed. "You have shown the true potential of humanity." As Zoe began explaining her thought process to the gathered crowd, she realized that this incident had done more to bridge the gap between human and alien than any official exchange program could have. In rising to meet this cosmic challenge, she had not only proven herself, but had taken a giant leap forward for human-alien relations. The Galactic Academy would never be the same again, and neither would Zoe Chen. In the days following the Celestial Observatory incident, Zoe found herself thrust into the spotlight. Students from all corners of the galaxy sought her out, eager to learn more about human problem-solving techniques. Even some faculty members began to show interest in incorporating Earth sciences into their curricula. Zoe sat in the Academy's bio-adaptive cafeteria, surrounded by a diverse group of alien students. Xandor, its scales a pleased golden hue, was explaining a complex xenobiology concept to a group of attentive listeners. Ixthorare hovered nearby, its crystalline structure refracting the ambient light into mesmerizing patterns. Zoe Chen of Earth, a melodious voice interrupted their discussion. Zoe looked up to see Professor Lyra, a bioluminescent, plant-like being who taught astrosociological ethics. "Might I have a word?" Excusing herself, Zoe followed the professor to a quiet corner. Lyra's leaves rustled with what Zoe had learned to recognize as excitement. "I've been reviewing your academic performance and your recent heroics," Lyra began, her bioluminescence pulsing gently. "I believe you would be an excellent candidate for a new research initiative I'm proposing. It's a bit unconventional, but given recent events, the board might just approve it." Zoe leaned in, intrigued. "What kind of research, Professor?" "A comprehensive study on the integration of human cognitive processes with advanced galactic technologies," Lyra explained. "Your species' unique approach to problem-solving, combined with our vast technological resources, could lead to groundbreaking innovations." Zoe's mind raced with the possibilities. "That sounds incredible, Professor. I'd be honored to participate." As they discussed the details, neither noticed the dark shape lurking behind a nearby bioorganic pillar. Professor Zar'thak oozed away, his gelatinous form rippling with barely contained anger. Later that day, Zoe was heading to her quantum entanglement practicum when she felt a sudden shift in the gravity field. She found herself pulled into a secluded alcove, face to face with Xandor. The reptilian alien's scales were a turbulent mix of warning reds and concerned purples. "Zoe," Xandor hissed urgently, "you must be cautious. Your rising influence is not welcomed by all. There are whispers of a faction forming among some of the more conservative faculty and students. They fear the changes you represent." Zoe's excitement from her earlier conversation with Professor Lyra faded, replaced by a familiar anxiety. "But I'm not trying to change anything fundamentally. I just want to contribute, to learn and share knowledge." Xandor's scales rippled sympathetically. "I know, but not everyone sees it that way. Some view the integration of human ideas as a threat to the established cosmic order. Be wary, especially of." A sudden commotion in the corridor cut Xandor off. They peered out to see a group of students gathered around a holographic display. A news feed was reporting on an incident at one of the Academy's sister institutions in a neighboring galaxy. Unknown assailants attacked the xenortheology department, the ethereal news anchor was saying. Early reports suggest the target was research related to ancient Earth artifacts recently discovered in the Orion Arm. Zoe and Xandor exchanged worried glances. The timing seemed far from coincidental. As the day progressed, Zoe couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. In her advanced telepathic communication class, she noticed a group of Neurax students, beings of pure psychic energy, huddled together, their thought forms occasionally flickering in her direction with what felt like hostility. During a break between classes, Zoe sought out Ixtho-Ra, finding comfort in the crystalline being's logical perspective. "Your concerns are not unfounded, friend Zoe," Ixtho-Ra chimed after listening to her worries. "But consider this, for every potential adversary, you have gained multiple allies. Your actions have inspired many to reconsider their views on interspecies cooperation." As if to prove Ixtho-Ra's point, a small, amphibious creature Zoe recognized from her xenolinguistics class approached them, its gills fluttering nervously. "Excuse me, Zochen of Earth," it burbled, "I am Glixpar. We, that is. Some of us were wondering if you might consider tutoring a study group. Your insights into cross-species communication have been most illuminating." Zoe smiled, touched by the request. "I'd be happy to, Glixpar. Maybe we could start next week." As Glixpar happily swam off, Zoe felt a renewed sense of purpose. Yes, she faced opposition, but she was also making a real difference. She was building bridges between species that had never truly understood each other before. The day ended with a surprise announcement. In light of recent events, the Academy Board had approved Professor Lyra's research initiative. Zoe would be working alongside some of the brightest minds in the galaxy, exploring the untapped potential of human-alien collaboration. As she prepared for bed that night, Zoe reflected on the whirlwind her life had become. She had allies: Xandor, Ixtho-Ra, Professor Lyra, and countless students she was inspiring daily. But she also had adversaries, hidden in the shadows, threatened by the change she represented. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to prove humanity's worth in the cosmic community. As she drifted off to sleep, Zochen, the girl from Earth, knew that her journey at the Galactic Academy was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. The new academic cycle at the Galactic Academy began with a buzz of excitement. Professor Lyra's research initiative, dubbed Project Synergy, had become the talk of the campus. At the heart of it all was Zoe Chen, the human girl whose unconventional thinking had sparked a revolution in interstellar academia. Zoe stood in the newly allocated laboratory, a vast chamber filled with equipment that looked more like abstract art and scientific instruments. Holographic displays flickered to life around her, showing complex data streams and real-time simulations of various cosmic phenomena. Impressive, isn't it? Professor Lyra's bioluminescent form pulsed with pride as she entered the lab. This facility represents the pinnacle of galactic scientific achievement, and now we add human ingenuity to the mix. The research team was a diverse group of brilliant minds from across the cosmos. There was Dr. Zar'thak, a quantum probability expert whose body existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions. Krelox, a young prodigy in psychic engineering whose tentacles could manipulate pure energy. And of course, Ixtho, whose crystalline mind could process vast amounts of data in microseconds. As they gathered for their first official meeting, Zoe couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. "So, where do we start?" she asked, her voice echoing slightly in the cavernous lab. Professor Lyra's leaves rustled thoughtfully. "We begin by understanding the fundamental differences in how various species, including humans, approach problem solving. Zoe, perhaps you could walk us through your thought process during the Celestial Observatory incident." For the next few hours, Zoe found herself explaining concepts that she had always taken for granted: intuition, lateral thinking, the human capacity for imaginative leaps. Her alien colleagues listened with rapt attention, occasionally interjecting with questions that made Zoe reconsider ideas she'd never thought to question. As the days passed, Project Synergy began to take shape. They were developing a new form of artificial intelligence, one that combined the logical precision of alien tech with the adaptability and creative problem-solving of human cognition. The potential applications were staggering, from revolutionizing space travel to unlocking the secrets of dark matter. But as the project progressed, so did the opposition. One morning, Zoe arrived at the lab to find Krelox in distress, its tentacles twisted in agitation. "Someone has been in the lab," the young alien said, its psychic voice tinged with fear. "I can sense residual energy signatures. They were searching for something." A thorough investigation revealed that while no data had been stolen, several key components of their prototyped ally had been subtly sabotaged. It was a setback that would cost them weeks of work. Rector Zar'thak called an emergency meeting of the research team and key faculty members. As they gathered in the rector's office, a room that seemed to exist partially outside of normal space-time, the tension was palpable. "This act of sabotage is deeply troubling," Rector Zar'thak began, its multi-dimensional form shifting uneasily. "It suggests that there are those within our own ranks who fear the implications of this research." Professor Zar'thak, who had been uncharacteristically quiet since the start of Project Synergy, spoke up. "Perhaps this is a sign that we are moving too quickly. The integration of human cognitive processes with our advanced technologies could have unforeseen consequences." Zoe felt a surge of frustration. "With all due respect, Professor," she said, struggling to keep her voice level, "isn't the pursuit of knowledge, even in the face of the unknown, what the Galactic Academy stands for? We can't let fear hold us back." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Even some of those who had been skeptical of Zoe's presence at the Academy nodded in approval. Rector Zar'thak's form solidified, a sign of a firm decision being made. "Zoe Chen speaks wisely. We will not be deterred by acts of cowardice. Project Synergy will continue, with increased security measures." As they filed out of the rector's office, Zoe felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. She turned to see Professor Zar'thak, his gelatinous form undulating with what seemed like inner conflict. "Miss Chen," he began, his voice uncharacteristically soft, "I may have misjudged you, and perhaps by extension, your species. Your dedication to knowledge, even in the face of adversity, is admirable." Zoe was stunned. "Thank you, Professor. That means a lot coming from you." As Zar'thak oozed away, Zoe felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead would not be easy, but she was more convinced than ever that Project Synergy could change the galaxy for the better. Back in the lab, the team threw themselves into their work with renewed vigor. Zoe's human perspective continued to provide novel solutions to complex problems, while her alien colleagues contributed knowledge and technologies beyond anything Earth had dreamed of. Weeks turned into months, and slowly but surely their AI began to take shape. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, a perfect fusion of human creativity and alien logic, capable of making intuitive leaps across vast domains of knowledge. As Zoe watched the first successful test of their creation, she felt a profound sense of awe. This wasn't just about proving humanity's worth or advancing alien science. It was about forging a new path forward, one where the strengths of all species could be combined to face the challenges of the cosmos together. The grand experiment was more than just a success. It was the dawn of a new era in galactic history. And at the heart of it all was a human girl who had dared to dream beyond the stars. The day of the Galactic Scientific Summit had finally arrived. The grand auditorium of the Galactic Academy was filled to capacity with beings from across the cosmos. Holographic projections allowed countless others to attend virtually from distant star systems. At the center of it all stood Zoe Chen, the human girl whose journey had started with uncertainty and now culminated in a moment that would reshape the future of interstellar relations. Rector Zilith's multidimensional form shimmered as it introduced the proceedings. Esteemed colleagues, we stand at the threshold of a new era. What began as a controversial exchange program has led to one of the most significant breakthroughs in galactic history. Zoe took a deep breath as she stepped up to the podium, acutely aware of the billions of eyes, sensory organs, and perception apparatuses focused on her. The familiar faces of her team, Professor Lyra, Ixthora, Xandor, and even the now supportive Professor Zar'thak, gave her strength. Distinguished guests, Zoe began, her voice steady, today, we present to you the fruits of Project Synergy, an artificial intelligence unlike any other. We call it the Cosmic Harmony Interface, or HFY. With a gesture, Zoe activated the holographic display. A swirling vortex of light and data materialized, coalescing into a form that seemed to shift between humanoid and alien appearances. HFY represents the perfect fusion of human intuition and alien logic, Zoe explained. It can process vast amounts of data, make creative leaps across disparate fields of knowledge, and adapt to new situations with unprecedented speed and accuracy. The audience watched in awe as HFY demonstrated its capabilities, solving complex equations, proposing novel theories in quantum mechanics, and even composing a piece of music that resonated with the emotional centers of multiple species simultaneously. But HFY is more than just a powerful computer, Zoe continued. It's a bridge between species, a testament to what we can achieve when we combine our strengths. Already, HFY has proposed solutions to some of our galaxy's most pressing issues, from more efficient, faster-than-light travel to new methods of sustainable energy production. As Zoe spoke, she could see the impact of her words rippling through the audience. Species that had long been at odds with each other were turning to their neighbors, engaged in excited discussion. The atmosphere in the auditorium was electric with possibility. However, Zoe's tone grew serious. With great power comes great responsibility. The ethical implications of HFY are profound, and we must approach its use with caution and wisdom. She went on to outline the safeguards and ethical guidelines that have been built into HFY's core programming, emphasizing the importance of using this new technology for the benefit of all sentient beings. As the presentation concluded, the auditorium erupted in a cacophony of cheers, trills, and psychic emanations of approval. Zoe found herself surrounded by her team, all of them basking in the success of their hard work. Amidst the celebration, a hush fell over the crowd as a new figure approached the stage. It was the Supreme Counselor of the Galactic Federation, a being of pure energy rarely seen outside the hallowed halls of galactic governance. Zoe Chen of Earth, the counselor's voice resonated throughout the auditorium. Your work here has done more than advance our scientific understanding. It has opened new pathways for cooperation and mutual growth between all species. With a gesture that sent ripples through the fabric of space-time, the counselor continued, in light of this achievement, the Galactic Federation hereby extends an invitation to Earth to join our ranks as a full member world. The announcement sent shockwaves through the assembly. Zoe stood in stunned silence, the magnitude of the moment washing over her. She had come to the Galactic Academy to learn, to represent her species, but she had never imagined this outcome. As the implications of the counselor's words sank in, Zoe realized that her journey was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The integration of Earth into the galactic community would bring new challenges, new opportunities, and new adventures. In the days that followed, as news of HFY and Earth's invitation spread across the cosmos, Zoe found herself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. There were interviews to give, treaties to discuss, and countless beings eager to learn more about humanity. But in a quiet moment, as she stood in the celestial observatory where her adventure had truly begun, Zoe reflected on how far she had come. She thought of her home on Earth, of her family and friends who had supported her dream of reaching the stars. Ixthora's crystalline form glittered beside her. "Your thoughts are contemplative, friend Zoe," it chimed softly. Zoe smiled. "I was just thinking about how one small step can lead to such a giant leap. For me, for humanity, for the entire galaxy." As they gazed out at the swirling cosmos, Zoe Chen, the girl from Earth who had changed the course of galactic history, knew that the greatest adventures still lay ahead. A new era had dawned, one of unprecedented cooperation and discovery, and she was proud to be at its forefront. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if in celebration of the boundless potential that lay in the unity of all sentient beings. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth, that even the smallest voice can echo across the cosmos, forever changing the melody of the universe.